Hello! So, welcome to another reading vlog. I'm very proud of myself because I just filmed my March wrap up and I have big plans this week to try and catch up on all my booktube things. So that's filming videos and also reading books. I have a whole bunch of options here. Let's say they're options. I also want to read at least a couple of audiobooks. So let's talk about my plans. A lot of this is based around the Orilium Readathon, which I'm participating in, but also I'm aware that is the 4th of the month and I wanted to read 14 books for this readathon, so that would mean like one book every couple of days as the 4th, and I haven't finished any books. No, that's not true! I finished one. I just finished today. I finished June Messiah in my last reading vlog. So I've got one class completed and now I'm going to try and get some more. So there's a couple of books that I was planning to read kind of a little bit every day. It hasn't been working out so far, but I also feel like I just finished my contract end of last week and I haven't really gotten into my new not working routine yet, so I might still manage to fit these in start and end of the day. Ariel's like a poetry collection by Sylvia Plath. I really loved it when I was a teen, so I kind of had the idea I would read one to myself every morning and every night, but so far I think I've read 2, so I'm a bit behind. But maybe after this I'll dance around the lounge and read some poetry. Also these short stories, I think I've read the first 2, so I was going to try and read one every night, but also I didn't really love the first 2 books, and I've learnt this is kind of winners of a short story competition, so I was expecting it to be more established authors for some reason, and that's fine, but I need to go into this just as like looking for something I can really enjoy and looking for authors that I might want to read more of. So I'll see if I can get through some more of these this week, but I probably won't finish the whole thing. And the other thing that I'm still reading and that I really want to finish this week, but can I? It's Monday and I haven't read any of this month. So this is Child of Flame, the 4th book in the Crown of Stars series. It's this epic fantasy. People are fighting over the crown, but there's also dark magic, like celestial magic that some people are using in the wrong way. These portals that go through to different dimensions and potentially different times. We've got these dark elf type people that are like exiled but perhaps going to come back in this potentially cataclysmic event. We've got dragons and merfolk and all sorts of other magic going on, and I'm really enjoying it, but also just the way that these books are so massive and so dense and so complex with so many different things going on. I really struggle to get through them. And I told myself that this wasn't a great bedtime book because every time I try to read it in bed, honestly, it's just too big to like snuggle up with. So we're going to try and read this on the couch during the day, like properly sitting reading it. It's already 5:30, so I feel like I've lost the day today, probably because I had a nap. Oops. But we'll see if I can find some time tonight to read that. I just dropped a book. So since I decided Child of Flame wasn't a great bedtime book, I have a couple of other options for bedtime books this week. Part of me thought Mutuwhenua might be a good option because it's just super short, 150 pages I think, and like it's a tiny book. But also it is an older contemporary book, so it might not be one that I fly through. So I might start it and see how I feel about it. It's about a Maori woman who marries a Pākehā man and then kind of has to work out how she deals with her culture after she's become somewhat separated from it. It's like a classic Maori authored book, so I'm excited to read that. So I'll try and read that, or otherwise I've also got Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This I don't know much about. A girl goes to this house or school or something, but when she gets there nobody knows why she's there even though she got an invitation, and there's some kind of like alternate version of the house as well as like illustrations throughout the book. Not many, but a couple, and a book in the middle of the book. So that's another option for a nighttime read. I think I'm just going to take them all to bed with me tonight and see what happens. As well, I have a couple of audiobooks which I will primarily be reading when I go out for my evening walks. Unfortunately, daylight savings just ended here in New Zealand and I'm super sad because sunset is really early now. So I have to leave for my walks early, or otherwise I miss sunset and I just have to have a nighttime walk, which I don't mind, but sometimes I remember that it's a little bit dangerous. Anyway, the audiobooks that I have to read are two. Firstly, I've got, what's it called? Deadbeat by Jim Butcher. So this is I always just guess what number of the Dresden Files. Should I actually try and find out? I want to say book number 7. Why doesn't this tell me? Oh my goodness, it doesn't tell me. Book number 7, I'm pretty sure, in the Dresden Files. So Harry Dresden is this wizard who's also a private investigator. He's also stuck in the middle of this war between the vampires. And he has a bit of a history with his family in the past and with the White Council, who is this wizard council that don't really agree with his methods. So I don't know what's going to be happening in this book. But even though Harry annoyed me in the last one, less than I was expecting. So we're going to go into this one somewhat optimistically. The other book that I am going to read this week is Burn for Me by Ilona Andrews. So this is the first book in the Hidden Legacy series. And I wanted to read these two around the same time so that I could compare them. Because I've always kind of said that I feel like the Harry Dresden books are like fantasy romance for men. And I kind of want to compare the male gaze in the Harry Dresden books to the more female gaze in Burn for Me. So this is another, I would say it's like a paranormal romance. We've got these different families with different psychic abilities. And I think the main character ends up getting kidnapped by this other man. So the main character is a female. I will say Ilona Andrews is actually like a husband and wife writing team. So it's not just the female perspective. But still, you can tell from the cover that it's going for that kind of romance feel. So I'm going to compare the two and see if that gives me some insight into why the Harry Dresden books annoy me so much, or perhaps makes me decide to be more lenient on poor Harry Dresden. So I feel like that's a lot of books. To be honest, my plan is this week to read as much as I can to try and like get a head start on the Orilium Readathon. Because I know there are some other things going on in future weeks in the month. Whereas this week, I'm mostly just spending time making lists, catching up on my to-do lists. I don't have too many commitments other than... Okay, my vlogging camera just ran out of batteries, and honestly, I'm too lazy to walk into the next room just to film one more sentence to say whatever I was going to say, which I've now forgotten, which is like, I don't have too many commitments this week, so I can pretty much just do whatever I want to do. And what I want to do is catch up on my reading, catch up on my housework, and catch up on my booktube. So I guess let's see how we go. Good morning. So I have spent the morning just getting ready at the speed that I want to get ready. It's nice and quiet and peaceful, and it's nice. I think today I'm going to spend most of the day trying to catch up on booktube things, so we'll see how far we get through. But I wanted to update you on my reading. So last night I managed to get about 25% the way through Deadbeat. And for a while there, I think like the 20%, I was like, Harry's not even being annoying. I was interested in the story. He's being blackmailed into finding, I guess, this artifact related to necromancy in order to protect his friend. So I like the setup, and there's kind of an interesting addition to the magic happening with this new artifact that's been introduced. And the necromancy is pretty scary. He's had a few altercations already. However, in that last 5% that I read, he went to a bookstore, and you would think, what trouble can he get into at a bookstore? But of course there was a woman there, and he described her in a very annoying way, and so... I guess he's not over being annoying yet. But I am interested to see where the story is going to take the necromancy, so I will try and continue that tonight when I go for a run. Other reading that I did last night before bed, I've got a bunch of things here. So firstly, I read a couple of stories from this. I never remember what they were until I actually look. One of them was just about... one of them was kind of like a little short story, romance story, about this writers group and this bi girl wanting to hit on a lesbian. And the other one was about this older bus driver watching the young kids kind of learn a little bit about Maori culture and being impressed that they're at least trying. So I think the problem I'm having actually with this book, I remembered, is that I really struggle with short stories, especially like these ones are only a few pages long. And I feel like that's not enough space to actually do anything interesting. So like... there's some interesting characters, and they're put in an interesting situation, and then that's the end. That's all the space the short story has, but nothing really happened. So I'm just kind of left like, And I don't know, this is always my problem with short stories, but these ones are especially short, so I especially have that problem. But I will keep reading a couple every night. We'll see if I can find a couple that I like. The other thing that I did start reading, and for some reason I don't have a bookmark, so I'm just keeping it like this. Don't get mad at me. But I'm up to page 36. It's like 150-ish pages, so like 20% of the way through. What I was thinking when I was reading this, so we've got this young girl, and it's kind of jumping back and forwards in time a little bit. She's about to get married to this Pākehā man, and her nana really doesn't approve of her marrying a European guy. And like, she's kind of always just gone along with what her family wants. And I was reading this and I was thinking about how the main character it kind of feels like she's just following along with her life rather than really owning it. And I was thinking, gosh, that's really similar to the cousins. There's a similar feel in that, where some of the characters just felt like they were in their lives rather than owning their lives. And you know what? This is Patricia Grace, and this is also Patricia Grace. So I guess maybe that's her writing style. Maybe that was kind of her experience of her young life, that she felt like she was just in it and doing what was expected of her. I don't really know. I did really like, there was one part where they're giving a concert at the end of school, and her friend, who she thought she knew really well, plays violin, and she realizes that there's so much to her friend's life that she doesn't even know about, and she wonders, like, when we leave the school grounds, do we both just become completely different people and we don't even know each other? And I really like the way that was written. So I am enjoying this. I didn't get very far through it, but that's because the font's tiny. I do think I might try and finish this off tonight, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how we go when I get to reading tonight. Oh, hello. It is the end of Wednesday. I feel like I'm losing track of time. Honestly, I just had a call with a couple of my friends from work, even though I don't work anymore, but just to catch up. And they asked me if I was bored, mostly as a joke, because they know me better than that. And I'm definitely not bored. I just feel like I still don't have enough time. Like, how do people have time to work? There's so many other things to do, including reading on the couch. So today, I actually sat on the couch for a while and read this, mainly because I was going to do some filming. That was my plan for today. And then for some reason, there was some crazy chainsaw noises all day. So instead, I read on the couch, even though chainsaw noises are also not helpful for reading on the couch. But I read this, and honestly, when I sit on the couch during the day and read this, I can get through it. So that's the trick to getting through it. It's just finding time during the day to be able to sit on the couch and not have anything else going on. There were probably other things I should have been doing, but instead I read my book. I'm on holiday. I'm allowed. And I got to... Oh, this book's too heavy and I'm holding the camera, so it's too hard to show you. But I got up to part 4. I had a post-it note here because it's a milestone. There's only 4 parts in this book, but the 4th part is pretty much the second half of the book. But I am past halfway. I'm up to part 4. I've been aiming for this milestone for a long time, and I finally got there. I think if I could sit on the couch for a few more days, I could get through this. Although I don't know when I'll be able to do that. Tomorrow I have to go into town because I'm returning my work laptop to work. And while I'm in town, I'm probably going to go for a walk around, maybe try and find some whale tails that I've been trying to collect. Maybe go to some shops. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to have couch reading time tomorrow. But maybe I can find some time to still finish this by the end of the week. I don't have to finish it by the end of the week, but at least I've now figured out the trick to get through it. Also, the whole section I was reading today was really following these 2 main characters that have kind of ended up as a couple together. And for most of it, they were kind of being chased by different people, helped out by the merfolk. All sorts of craziness going on, helped out by the lion woman. But it was kind of weird to be with the same characters for such a long time, because most of this book we keep switching back and forth between different characters. So I don't know what we're going to get in part 4, but I am excited to finally be able to get to it. I've also been reading some other things. I'm honestly surrounded by random books at the moment, but one of them is Ariel by Sylvia Plath. I've been reading a couple of poems every day, and I'm actually getting through it quite quickly. Maybe I'm reading too many poems a day if I wanted this to last the whole month. But maybe if I finish it early, I'll go back and reread some of them. I really am enjoying them. I really enjoy Sylvia Plath's writing. I know she was really struggling at the time when she wrote a lot of these poems, and you can tell but I also kind of love the way that she gets to the truth of emotions, and I just love her imagery that she uses. And I really need to find some more poetry like Sylvia Plath. So if you know what poetry that might be, then please give me some recommendations. Otherwise, I guess I will have to do some research. I'm really thankful to my sixth form teacher who introduced me to Sylvia Plath. She used to read the poems in front of class, and she would go hard in her presentation of them. And at the time, I thought she was a little bit nuts, but now I really appreciate it. The other thing I have been reading, despite being surrounded by books, it's not here. But the other thing I've been reading is Mutuwhenua. I read a little bit last night, but not very much. I'm just not good at nighttime reading at the moment. But also, it's a little bit weird because I've been reading Harry Dresden when I'm out on my walks, and it's very hard to listen to like very consumable, popular fiction, like paranormal fantasy type stuff, and then come back and read like more literary fiction. Like the tone and the consumability is very different. And like I guess literary fiction is really trying to make you think, whereas Harry Dresden is not really trying to make you think. It's more just trying to entertain you. And I am entertained by Harry Dresden. I've actually been enjoying this one quite a lot. I think I'm about 55% of the way through now. I will say I do find that action scenes tend to bore me a little bit. I don't think that's necessarily the fault of the writing though. It's just that I find the investigation stuff more interesting, and the world building, and even just the way the characters are interacting with each other. But often in the action scenes, it's just action. Action is not my thing. But we just had like this big confrontation with this necromancer and got chased by some zombies. So I'm hoping now we can return to a little bit more investigation. What I will say, one of the themes in this is definitely that Harry has built up kind of different friendships at this point in the story. And he's feeling the pressure because now he cares about all these people, and he is kind of putting them in danger by knowing him, and he feels more pressure to like look after them. Very similar to the Kate Daniels series, which I have compared this to before, in that she in the beginning is also a loner for reasons, and over time builds up these relationships, but struggles with the fact that now these people are in danger because of their relationships to her, but also like learning how valuable friendships can be. So similar themes, which I find interesting. I wonder if it's a very common theme amongst books like that. I don't think I've read enough books like that to really know. But anyway, even though it's very late at night now, it's not that late. It's like 7 o'clock, but thanks to daylight savings being over, it's dark. So I'm going to go for a night walk. Hopefully I won't die, but I will try and get through as much of Harry Dresden as I can. So maybe a long walk.
From the top, hit restart. So far it's been so hard to live, but lately something in me changed. Let it go, let it be. Don't fight your way back in. Let me go, let me be. It's time that we begin. Welcome to a new life. Dripping in gold, that's nice. Welcome to a new life. Everything feels so right till I opened up my eyes. I thought I was defeated, but all I ever needed was just a little space and time to open up the ceiling, a different kind of healing. I feel alive. Can you feel it? I can feel it. I feel alive. Can you feel it? I can feel it. Yeah. Already hanging by a thread with my world turned upside down. Gravity shook my brain and I tumbled out. Heavy weight landed on my face.
Hello. So after I returned my laptop to work, I went for this super long walk, and I feel like it's taken me a day or so to recover from it. So that was the day before yesterday. It's Saturday now. and I do have a few reading updates for you. So firstly, I finished off Deadbeat and I really enjoyed it. I thought there were a lot of things going on with the plot, all this twistiness that fitted together, some surprises, a bit with the dinosaur that almost jumped the shark, but at the same time fit in well with the story. I thought there was some good humor in there, some interesting things from the bigger story that were being explored, some interesting new elements introduced, and just overall, a much better book than all the Harry Dresden ones so far. So, maybe from here it goes up, although I've also heard a lot of people think that this was their favourite one, so maybe it's peaked. Not sure, but it has definitely made me more excited to continue the series. Definitely, Harry was still annoying. He still, it included the same little speech, pretty much word for word, I'm sure, to what he said in the previous book. And I was like, just stop it. You don't need to explain about how you feel the need to protect women. It's not helping. But overall, he treated most of the women that he met like actual human beings, except weirdly, the one that wasn't actually human. Anyway, I was surprised that I really enjoyed it. Then I started reading Burn For Me by Ilona Andrews, and honestly, the covers for this are just so bad. I really love the Kate Daniels series up there, and if I had known how similar this series was to the Kate Daniels series, I would have picked it up way sooner. But because the covers always looked like erotica type covers, I never even considered them because I don't really like reading those kind of books. They're not for me, so I always just assumed that series wasn't really for me. However, it's very similar to the Kate Daniels series. We've got this girl, Nevada, and she and her family run this private investigation company. So similar, Kate Daniels is a mercenary. What I will say is Kate Daniels begins out very alone and slowly builds up her friend group, whereas Nevada has a whole family around her. So that family element is definitely different. And I did really enjoy that element where she's always trying to do what's best for her family. And I love her family, her cousins, and the kids in the family are so much fun. The grandma is hilarious. And I just enjoyed her family a lot. As well, the romance, again, similar to the Kate Daniels series, we've basically got her being put in a situation where she has to work with this man who she finds very attractive. He's very powerful, but she also kind of thinks he's an asshole. And he is. Circumstances mean that he is. But there's reasons. And they're put in a situation where they have to work together. And they work together quite well. In this first book, we don't really get too far with the romance. But I really like the beginning of it. Although definitely the main love interest, Mad Brogan, is going to have to work very hard to redeem himself from some of the asshole kind of things he does. But you can see that he has fairly good intentions most of the time. He's just maybe also a psychopath in that he's got a very particular way of thinking about morality. I also really like the way the magic is incorporated into the story. And just, it was a fun time. I really enjoyed it. I love Ilona Andrews' writing style and the way they fit humor into the story at the same time as having some quite horrible things happening. And just the main character is super tough. Again, probably not quite as tough as Kate Daniels, but maybe almost tough in a more relatable way. So I really enjoyed it and I will definitely be continuing that series. What else have I read since I last talked to you? Oh, I started another audiobook. So I started listening to Skulduggery Pleasant number 2. This one. I was a little bit confused because it started talking all about the faceless ones and I'm like, that's the name of the other book. Did I start reading the wrong one? I did not. I just forgotten some of the stuff that happened in the first book. But basically, we've got some bad guys, and Stephanie and Skulduggery Pleasant are going up against them. I guess that's the summary. That's probably going to be the summary of most of these books, I expect. I also have the pile of other books that I've been reading this week in my lap. I don't know how I've ended up reading this many books, but Mutuwhenua, I'm halfway through. I really need to get some bookmarks. I am enjoying it. I feel like lately I suck at bed reading and I don't know if it's the books I'm reading or just my mental state. I honestly feel like if I just focused on this for an hour, I could finish it. So I'll try and do that this weekend. I don't think I've made any progress on either of these since I last talked to you. So I should do that, but also it can probably wait till next week at this point. And lastly, Child of Flame. I read some more on the couch. I'm up to page 500, so I've only got 350 pages more to go. I am making progress on this, finally. And the story is really interesting, and it's so hard to talk about, though, because, like, this is the 4th book of books this size, so obviously a lot has changed. But some of the characters are really learning a lot about their magic, and some of the conflicts are starting to get more and more interesting. Some characters are still in really awful situations. I really do like this when I can sit down and read it and make progress. So maybe I'll try and do that a bit this weekend as well. It is sunny, although Jace is working, but we're going to try and enjoy the sun somewhat. But before that, I was going to film some videos because I have been putting off doing that for a couple of days as well. So I'm going to go do that, enjoy the sun, do some reading, and then I'll catch up with you again.
I would love to be your stars and moon, your sun. I would love to be that one. I'd love to be the one to make you laugh. I'd love to be the one who'd always say that I love you back. I would always be the one who cares, and I will try my very best to always be there.
Hello, so it is Wednesday now, the following week from when I was meant to finish this vlog, but I just got busy doing things and dealing with hair disasters, I guess, was one of the things. So this was not at all what I was going for, but this is what we've got. I tried putting purple in. It didn't really look very good on the main hair, and then the roots went like bright purple, which looked very strange. So instead I bought this cheap pinky red and put it in, and I actually kind of like it. And if it doesn't wash out too quick, I might keep using those cheap ones because they were cheap, and they have quite a range of colors that potentially I could work with. This is a little bit weird because it's like super pink at the bottom, pink at the roots, pinky red, and then this whole section in the middle just kind of refuses to take very much color. But I'm kind of happy with it, happier than I was with my first attempt anyway. And I'll keep working this towards colors that I like. Definitely it's more fun than the hair I had previously, which is what I wanted, so I'm winning. But I should update you on my reading. So, one thing that I finished since I last talked to you was Mutuwhenua, and I have mixed feelings about this. There were some passages that were just like really beautiful descriptions of things, but then the rest of the time the writing was very simple. And I think that suited the story, but I did really enjoy the beautiful descriptions. There was one chapter in the middle where she's waiting for this boy to come and visit. She's picking him up from the bus station, and like she suddenly is thinking, do I even know this boy? They've been writing letters, but she's like, do I even know him? Do I even remember what he looks like? And when he shows up, he doesn't see her straight away, and you can kind of tell that he wasn't necessarily really expecting her to show up either. And it's just like, it was written so beautifully as well. It starts raining, and they're just like, you know, so uncertain about whether this thing that they're starting is a real thing. But then once they get back together, they realize that yes, it is. But just that uncertainty was described so beautifully. The end of the book was a little bit depressing, and I also got quite frustrated with the main character for not talking to people when she had problems, even though I know that that's probably what I would do as well. But I think even though often when you're depressed and it makes sense to you to keep things to yourself, it's always frustrating to see people who are surrounded by their loved ones not talk to their loved ones about their problems. So I guess that was done very well. Another thing, I guess this is written like in the 1978, I think, and the context now is just so different. So there are some things that it's hard to understand. Like, actually, the other night, Jason and I were watching TV and we came across Billy T. James, which was like a very popular New Zealand comedian back in the 80s and maybe 90s. I'm not sure when he passed away. But we were watching some of his skits, and I know that when I was younger, I would watch him and he was funny, right? And everyone agrees he was funny. But we watched some of these and we were like, where's the joke? And often it was like it wasn't that we could tell the joke and it just wasn't funny. Some of the skits we were just like, but what's the joke? And there were other bits that were just like so blatantly racist and like not the kind of jokes that people would make anymore. And I know that Billy T. James is well known for like confronting race issues up front, but still, humor and our approach to those issues has definitely changed a lot in the last 40 years. Oh my god, I'm old. But yeah, they made some of the things that are raised in this kind of less relevant. But I do still think it's a good story to read and think about how important it is to listen to other people when they talk about their culture. I think that's the message. Also just a beautiful book at times. The other thing that I read since I last talked to you is I read the second book in Skulduggery, Pleasant. I think it's called Playing with Fire. I liked it. I thought there were some really clever parts where they're tricking these bad guys and getting away with things. And the bad guys were interesting, but one thing is there were a lot of them and I kept getting confused about which one was which. And I think sometimes with audiobooks it's a little bit harder to keep track of these things. And I almost wish these bad guys just had numbers associated with them, because I felt like they were on a scale from like not actually bad to very bad. And if they could just be numbered in the order, I would have kept track of them much better. So I kept, every time they would talk about a particular bad guy, I would be right. Is this the worst guy, or is this the second worst guy? Or is this the guy who's not actually bad? But honestly, this is a middle grade book, so I don't know why I was struggling with it mentally. Maybe my brain has turned off since I finished working. Oh, and the other thing that I've done that I'm very proud of is actually I made progress with Child of Flame. So I am up to page 620. So I think maybe I even read 200 pages this week. Or 300. I think I read a lot. Well done, me. Also, I'm really getting into it. Some of the characters are starting to come together a bit. I'm still not really sure, because I've been reading this over such a long time. Like, what is the overall point of this book? There's just been so many things happening. Oh, and I had seen a review of someone saying that there was like technologically advanced like gnomes in this book, and I was like, was there? Yes, I got to the part where there was, and it was really interesting, and I'm excited to see what Kate Elliott will do with those characters in the future. Although I think actually my favorite part was we have these two characters who are kind of in different places. I'm not sure, different dimensions, let's say, different magical worlds. But one of them ends up at this feast in the real world, but they're not really there. This is so hard to explain. They're not really there, but something bad is happening and they want to stop it, right? But they can't. But then this other girl from this other place, who's also not really there, she's dreaming, and she turns up there as well, and she's just like super supportive, and I just loved. She's like, yes, you've got this. But like neither of them are really there, and they're both the two most magical characters. So I'm excited for when they finally do meet each other in real life. I'm wondering if it'll be within this book. I guess we'll see. But I am enjoying this, and I think maybe I'll finish it next week. This week. It's already Wednesday. I did also start Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb, but again, I'm going to save that for next week's vlog. So I haven't even started editing this one, so I have no idea how long it is. But either way, thank you for making it to the end. Do let me know, as always, if you've read any of the books that I talked about in this video, what you thought about them, because I'd love to talk with you about them down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.